The wolf, the raccoon, and the parrot. The first question. One quiet evening in the forest, the wise old parrot gathered the wolf and the raccoon beneath the storyteller's favorite tree. The parrot had been pondering a question that had troubled creatures and humans alike for centuries. "My friends," he began, his voice soft but commanding, "why do we exist?" The wolf, who prided himself on his scientific reasoning, smirked. "That is simple," he said. "We exist because of natural laws. We are the result of evolution, shaped by survival and adaptation. There is no grand purpose, only the continuation of life." The raccoon shook her head, her eyes shining with conviction. "No, my friend. We exist because a higher power willed it so. There is a creator who gave us life, purpose, and meaning. To deny this is to deny what is greater than ourselves." The wolf and the raccoon glared at each other, their fundamental differences sparking tension. But before they could argue further, the parrot interrupted. "Let me tell you a story," he said, his eyes glinting with the wisdom of countless tales. "The story of the sun and the moon. Once," the parrot began, "the sun and the moon argued over why they lit the world. 'It is obvious,' said the sun. 'I bring light and warmth because the laws of the universe demand it. I am a ball of fire born of cosmic forces, existing because I must.' The moon disagreed. 'I shine because I am meant to guide and inspire. My light may come from you, but my purpose comes from the Creator, who placed me in the heavens. I exist to reflect a higher meaning.' Their argument grew so loud that the stars began to flicker with unease. Finally, a small comet, streaking through the night sky, paused to speak. 'Perhaps you are both correct,' said the comet. 'Sun, your existence is indeed tied to natural laws. But moon, your reflection gives purpose to the light you borrow. Without you, the sun's brilliance would go unnoticed in the darkness of night. And without the sun, your glow would not exist at all.' The sun and the moon fell silent, realizing that their roles were intertwined. Neither could fully explain their purpose alone, for both their existence and their meaning came from a balance of natural law and higher purpose. The lesson. The parrot turned back to the wolf and the raccoon. "Do you see? Science and belief do not need to oppose each other. The wolf is correct that we are shaped by the laws of nature, and the raccoon is right to seek meaning beyond what we can see. Perhaps our existence is a balance of both, a reflection of the tangible and the transcendent." The wolf and the raccoon exchanged thoughtful glances, their rigid perspectives softening. For the first time, they saw that their answers, though different, might be two sides of the same truth. Moral: the question of existence need not divide us. Science and faith, though different in their approaches, can together what caused it. There must be a creator who set it all in motion, willed the universe into existence. The wolf and the raccoon stared at each other, their opposing views threatening to flare into argument. But the parrot, perched above them, chuckled softly. "Ah, my friends," he said, "you remind me of a tale about the weaver and the loom. Let me share it with you." The story of the weaver and the loom. "Long ago," the parrot began, "there was a beautiful tapestry that hung in the center of a grand hall. Its colors were vibrant, and its patterns told stories of the heavens, the earth, and everything in between. Many creatures admired the tapestry, but none could agree on how it had been made. The fox claimed this tapestry was woven by the weaver's hands. Each thread was placed with care, and its patterns were guided by her wisdom. The owl, ever curious, countered, no, the tapestry exists because of the loom. Without the loom's mechanism, no thread could have been woven. It is the tool, not the weaver, that created this masterpiece." The creatures argued endlessly until the weaver herself appeared. She smiled and said, "Both of you are correct. The loom is essential, it allows the threads to come together. But it is my hands that guide the threads, my vision that shapes the patterns. Without one or the other, the tapestry could not exist." The fox and the owl fell silent, realizing that their views were not in opposition but in harmony. The tapestry was a result of both the weaver's purpose and the loom's mechanics. The lesson. The parrot turned his wise gaze to the wolf and the raccoon. "You, too, are like the fox and the owl. Wolf, you are right that the universe follows natural laws and its origins can be explained through science. And raccoon, you are right that something greater may have set it all into motion, like a weaver with a vision. Perhaps the universe, like the tapestry, is the result of both, the natural processes that science reveals and the purpose that faith seeks to understand." The wolf and the raccoon sat in thoughtful silence. For the first time, they saw that their views of creation might not be as incompatible as they had believed. Moral: the origins of existence may be seen as both natural and intentional, a tapestry woven with threads of science and faith. The wolf, the raccoon, and the parrot, the question of morality. A few weeks after their discussion about creation, the wolf and the raccoon met again under the storyteller's tree. This time, the parrot posed a new question, one that stirred deep reflections. How do we know what is right and what is wrong? The raccoon, grounded in her theological beliefs, spoke first. Morality comes from a higher power, she said. The Creator gave us guidance on how to live and treat one another. Without divine instruction, we would be lost. The wolf, ever the pragmatist, scoffed. Nonsense. Morality is a product of reason and survival. We determine right and wrong based on what benefits the group and ensures our survival. There is no need for divine rules. Their voices rose, each trying to augur the other. But the parrot, as always, interrupted their dispute with a calm but commanding voice. Ah, he said, this reminds me of a story about the river and the mountain. Let me tell it to you. The story of the river and the mountain. Once, the parrot began, a river and a mountain argued about who gave the animals their sense of direction. It is, I said, the river, who teach them the way. My waters flow steadily, showing them the paths to take. Without me, they would wander aimlessly. The mountain chuckled. Foolish river, he said. It is not your waters, but my height that guides them. From my peaks, they can see the world and chart their course. Without me, they would be blind. Their argument continued until a young bird, perched on a nearby tree, spoke up. You are both wrong, the bird chirped, and you are both right. The river gives us a path to follow, and the mountain gives us a view to see where that path leads. Together, you guide us. The river and the mountain fell silent, realizing that neither alone could provide the full picture. The creatures needed both the steady flow of the river and the grand perspective of the mountain to find their way. The lesson. The parrot turned his wise gaze to the wolf and the raccoon. You, too, are like the river and the mountain. Raccoon, your belief in divine guidance offers a moral path, a steady stream of principles to follow. And wolf, your reliance on reason and survival gives perspective, adapting morality to the realities of life. True morality may come from both a balance of divine wisdom and the practical lessons we learn from the world. The wolf and the raccoon sat quietly, considering the parrot's words. For the first time, they saw that morality could be both a gift from above and a tool forged in the struggles of existence. Moral. Morality may flow from divine inspiration and rise from practical wisdom, both working together to guide us toward what is right. The wolf, the raccoon, and the parrot, the question of suffering. It was a crisp evening when the wolf and the raccoon gathered once again beneath the storyteller's tree. A question had emerged that was far harder to answer than any they had faced before. Why does suffering exist? The raccoon, with her strong theological beliefs, spoke first. Suffering is a test, she said solemnly. It is through hardship that we learn our true strength and faith. The Creator allows suffering to bring us closer to a higher purpose, to help us grow spiritually. The wolf, always practical, shook his head. Suffering is simply a part of life. It's a result of natural processes. Some animals are stronger, some weaker. Some have to endure hardship because that's how life works. There's no grand reason for it, no divine plan. It's just survival. Once again, the tension between them grew, each trying to convince the other that their view was correct. But as always, the parrot interrupted with his calm voice. Ah, my friends, this reminds me of a story, the tale of the thorn and the rose. Let me share it with you. The story of the thorn and the rose. Once upon a time, the parrot began. There was a beautiful rose that grew in a meadow. Its petals were soft, and its fragrance filled the air. But the rose had a problem. A sharp thorn grew at the base of its stem. Every creature who tried to admire the rose was pricked by the thorn. Many of the animals came to the rose and asked, "Why do you have such a painful thorn? Your beauty is unmatched, yet the thorn keeps others from enjoying you." The rose replied, "The thorn is my protection. Without it, I would be trampled by those who wish to take too much, or destroyed by the harsh winds that blow through this meadow. The thorn keeps me safe." But the thorn, overhearing the rose, said bitterly, "I did not choose to exist. I am the source of pain, the reminder that beauty comes with hardship. Why must I exist, causing so much suffering?" Years passed, and the rose continued to bloom, but the thorn became resentful. One day, a great storm came, and the winds were fierce. The rose bent and shook under the gusts, its petals tearing, its stem weakening. Yet, the thorn stood firm, holding the rose in place. When the storm subsided, the rose was still standing, though battered. And the thorn, now exhausted but proud, said, "I see now. My existence, though painful, gave you the strength to endure the storm. Without me, you would have been swept away. The rose, though still aching from the storm, whispered, I now understand. Through the suffering I endured because of you, I grew stronger. Without you, I would have fallen. The lesson, the parrot turned to the wolf and the raccoon. Suffering, like the thorn, may not make sense at first. It may seem unnecessary or cruel, but sometimes suffering serves a purpose. It can protect us, help us grow, and prepare us for the challenges ahead. Raccoon, your belief in a higher purpose is through hardship that we learn. And wolf, your view that suffering is part of life is also valid. Without it, the strong would not have their strength, and the wise would not have their wisdom. The wolf and the raccoon looked at one another, each seeing something new in the other's perspective. They understood now that suffering, while painful, could lead to greater understanding and resilience. Moral, suffering, though painful, may serve a purpose, whether it is to protect, to teach, or to help us grow stronger in the face of adversity. The wolf, the raccoon, and the parrot, the question of afterlife. As the seasons changed once more, the wolf and the raccoon gathered beneath the storyteller's tree, the air growing cooler as winter approached. The parrot, as always, had one last question to ponder, one that had mystified creatures and humans alike for as long as they could remember. What happens after we die? The raccoon, unwavering in her faith, was the first to speak. After we die, our spirits return to the Creator, she said, her voice filled with peace. Our souls are judged, and those who have lived with faith and devotion are welcomed into an eternal paradise. Death is not an end, but a return to our true home. The wolf, practical as ever, shook his head. There's no paradise or afterlife, he said firmly. When we die, that's it. We return to the earth, our bodies decay, and that's the end. There's no soul, no eternal reward or punishment, just the cycle of life and death. As their voices began to rise in disagreement, the parrot intervened, his voice as steady as ever. Ah, my friends, this question has troubled many before you. Let me share with you a story about the seed and the oak. The story of the seed and the oak. Once the parrot began, there was a small seed that lay beneath the soil. It wondered, what will become of me? Will I grow tall and strong, or will I wither away and be forgotten? As the seed lay in the dark earth, an oak tree nearby spoke to it, saying, Do not fear, little seed. When your time comes, you will break free from the earth and grow into a mighty tree just like me. Your roots will dig deep, your branches will stretch to the sky, and you will live for many years, providing shelter to all who need it. The seed trembled. But what happens when I die? Will I just fade away, lost to time? The oak smiled, its branches swaying in the breeze. When you die, you will return to the earth. Your body will nourish the soil, helping other seeds to grow. Death is not an end, but a transformation, a return to the circle of life. The seed, though uncertain, believed the oak's words and broke free from the soil. It grew into a strong tree, standing tall through the seasons. When the time came for the oak to fall, it too returned to the earth, enriching the soil for new life. The lesson. The parrot turned to the wolf and the raccoon. You see, my friends, both views may hold truth. Raccoon, your belief in the soul's return to the Creator offers comfort and purpose, and wolf, your belief in the cycle of life and death reminds us that our physical existence is a part of something larger. Neither view contradicts the other, for both see death as part of a greater process of transformation, a return to the earth, or a reunion with a higher power. The wolf and the raccoon sat in quiet reflection. Though their beliefs were different, they understood now that the mystery of what happens after death may not have one answer, but many ways of finding peace and meaning in it. Moral. The question of what happens after death may be beyond our understanding, but it is a reminder that life, death, and transformation are all part of a greater cycle, one that brings meaning to our existence in this life and beyond. By Norris D. Powell.